Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into some profound spiritual and philosophical ideas. These come from a discussion by Dr. Maqsood Azeemi from back on September 5th, 2025. Our mission, really, is to pull out some key insights for you, helping you grasp core concepts like, sincerity, freedom, self-realization, but from a really fresh angle.
Yeah, and what's really striking about Dr. Sahib's approach is how he breaks down these really complex spiritual notions, makes them practical, things you can actually use.
Yeah.
He definitely challenges some common assumptions we might have and offers sort of a clear path towards deeper self-awareness, figuring out how we can align our own will with a higher purpose in our everyday lives.
Absolutely. And you'll find these ideas aren't just theoretical fluff. They're really designed to spark those aha moments.
Yeah.
About what it really means to live authentically with purpose. So let's dive in. Okay, so Dr. Sahib kicks things off by introducing a pretty foundational idea. It's the way of thinking of the Prophet Suzora Salatu Salam ki Tarz-e-Fikr. And he asks us, what is this mindset? What's its purpose? And what happens if we actually, spread it?
Right, and that really makes you think, why is this specific way of thinking so fundamental? Dr. Sahib explains its basic purpose is, for us to understand why Allah created us in the first place. He highlights that, yes, humans have full freedom to live how they want, but Allah also guides us, shows us a way to live that aligns with His will, because we're meant to be His Caliphate, His vicegerent, and Niyabat, His representative here.
And he boils it down, makes it simple. 3 clear options. You can follow Satan's influence, you can follow just your own will, your own desires, or you can follow Allah's will. And he points out all the prophets taught the same core message. The real game, so to speak, is choosing Allah's will. Right. Not ours, not what society pushes on us, and definitely not Satan's way.
And he makes a really powerful point here. The prophet, peace be upon him, reached that highest status, most beloved by Allah, by doing what Dr. Sahib calls lighting his lamp from Allah's lamp. Meaning he completely adopted Allah's preferred way of thinking. So if we say we're his followers, but then we choose Satan's path or just follow the crowd or our own ego, well, then we're actually embodying something else entirely. And he even equates following our own desires directly with Pharaoh's mindset, that I-ness, that ego. Wow. Okay, so what does that actually mean for us day to day? Dr. Sahib really stresses that it becomes obligatory, a farce, for us to adopt the Prophet's way of thinking. Why? To truly understand Allah's message. And when we get it and then act on it, our actions start aligning with that divine purpose. The biggest payoff. He says it's becoming Allah Kabanda, true servants of Allah. But what does that really look like practically?
Well, it's a fundamental shift, isn't it, in how you see things. Instead of just reacting based on, say, personal gain or fear, you start looking at things through a different lens, a higher ethical, spiritual compass. Like imagine a conflict at work. Instead of just defending yourself, maybe you look for a just, compassionate solution. It's about consciously trying to embody that role, reflecting those divine qualities in how you interact with the world.
Right. And building on that idea of true service, Dr. Sahib then clarifies something else really important. The difference between how we usually think of worship and the much deeper meaning of ilah.
Exactly. He points out that often bond of servitude or worship gets reduced to just, rituals, almost like worshiping an idol, just going through the motions. We translate ilah as mabud, one who is worshipped. Fine. But for Dr. Sahib, the real heart of ilah is when your whole way of thinking shifts to this deep conviction. No one fulfills my needs except Allah. Period.
Yeah, and he gives that vivid example, just sitting and bowing to an idol. What real effect does that have on you or the idol? Not much, right? But when you truly internalize that Allah alone is the fulfiller of needs, and you say, La ilaha illallah, there is no ilah but Allah, and you mean it, your entire thought process starts to reshape itself, aligning with Allah's pattern. Because seeing Allah as ilah means He's the fulfiller, the Lord, creator, sustainer, everything. It's a total mental reset.
It really is. It goes beyond just actions to this inner state of complete reliance, complete conviction. And that's not just theology, is it? It's like a practical blueprint for less anxiety, for real inner peace. Because if every need, every hope is anchored in that single truth, it changes how you face challenges, how you look for solutions. It just changes everything.
And this idea of inner light, he explores it further with his beautiful analogy, the light analogy. It really sticks with you. He mentions the Quranic verse, Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth, comparing Allah to a lamp in a niche.
Right. And then for the Prophet, peace be upon him, the term used is Siraj-e-Munir, a radiant lamp, a light-giving lamp. But here's the really insightful part for us. For you and me, the term is Siraj-e-Wahaja, a lamp that can be lit. It's not just poetry. It's like a direct instruction, a call to action for us.
Yeah, it implies it's on us, doesn't it? We need to actively rub our lamp against the prophet's lamp, connect our own spiritual wick to his, basically, and ignite our light. And he warns if we don't make that effort, we could just spend our lives in, well, spiritual darkness. And maybe even spread that darkness. But if you do ignite your mind's and soul's lamp with his guidance, then you become enlightened yourself, and maybe, just maybe, a source of light for others too, showing them the way.
And he takes it even further. He suggests that by lighting our lamp here in this world, we become a mashal, a torch that actually prepares us for the next zone of existence. It's this powerful idea of continuous spiritual growth, that our light has an impact beyond just this life, this idea of becoming a beacon for others. How does that actually play out? How might someone influence others that way?
I think it's less about actively preaching, maybe, and more about just living it, living your values so clearly, so authentically, that your actions, your whole way of being, kind of naturally guides people, like a quiet example. Your inner light just draws others towards understanding, perhaps. Okay, so this deep inner alignment brings us to another really interesting concept Dr. Sahib discusses, Bay'a Rizwan. It links a specific historical moment with a profound spiritual meaning. It refers to that oath taken by the Prophet's companion.
Indeed. And Dr. Sahib gives the context. It was before the conquest of Mecca. Hazrat Usman had been sent to negotiate, and then this rumor spread that he'd been martyred. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, gathered his companions and took an oath, a pledge, to avenge Hazrat Usman if needed. It was symbolized by them placing their hands together, showing total unity, total resolve. And Rizwan means Allah is pleased. So Allah approved of this unity, this commitment.
So beyond the history, what's the spiritual takeaway for us? Dr. Sahib explains Bay'a is basically an ahd or muhada, an agreement, a pact, made for Allah's sake. And in Sufism, or Fikiri, when someone takes that pledge on another's hand, it symbolizes agreeing to adopt their way of thinking, specifically to get help adopting the Prophet's way, and ultimately Allah's way, the goal being irfan, that divine knowledge. So it transforms from just a historical event into a living spiritual path.
That's a really key distinction. It takes a communal historical act and makes it relevant for an individual spiritual journey today. It signifies this mutual agreement: I'll guide you, you accept my guidance on this path. And the Bay'a Rizwan itself serves as this powerful reminder that when such a pledge is sincere, rooted in unity for a higher purpose, it actually earns Allah's pleasure.
Right. Now, following this focus on inner states and commitment, Dr. Said moves on to something critical: munafiqat, hypocrisy. And he starts with a pretty bold statement, doesn't he? If we look at today's society, we are all hypocrites. Wow.
Yeah, it's stark. He defines nifaq very literally. Something in the heart, something else on the mouth. Your inner reality is one thing, but what you show outwardly is completely different. He notes it's common, especially maybe in public life, people wearing different masks. But the Quran, he emphasizes, expects consistency. What's inside should match what's outside.
And he links this directly to the Prophet's titles, Sadiq and Amin. We usually translate Sadiq as truthful, but Dr. Sahib refines that. He says Sadiq means one who speaks qadibat, which he explains as being direct, sincere, truthful not just in words, but in action and commitment. He clarifies haq is Arabic for truth, reality, but that's about the sincerity behind it all. So this distinction between just truth, haq, and sincerity, how does that really elevate things?
Right. Oh, it's huge. Haq is like the objective fact, but sig is about your whole being aligning with that fact. And Dr. Sahib uses that incredible story to illustrate Siddiq. When the Quraysh tried to bribe and threaten the Prophet through his uncle, and the Prophet's response: by the one in whose hand is my life, if they place the sun on my right hand and the moon on my left, I will not abandon this work. That's Qaribat. Ultimate sincerity. Unshakable. And that resolve is what made his uncle say, do as you please, I am with you. Her. So Siddiqi's that deep, unwavering commitment. Anything less, Dr. Sahib suggests, tips into hypocrisy. It's integrity personified.
Okay, but that unwavering sincerity, how do you deliver that direct truth, that qaribat, without being harsh? Without pushing people away? Dr. Sahib shares asking his own murshid about this, about becoming, ukarujatahun, takorasahun, harsh or bitter when trying to be sincere. And his murshid's answer was really insightful.
Yeah, his murshid corrected him, said, look, if you're truthful, fine, but you also have to speak with narmi, with softness, gentleness. But then he added, speaking softly without truth, that's also hypocrisy, so it's a balance. Which raises the question, right, what does narmi sabat karna, speaking softly, really mean here? It's not weakness.
Exactly. Dr. Saib explains it's about tailoring your words to the other person's understanding, their readiness to hear. And he shares that personal story where his murshid really laid down the law. differentiating between gussa, anger, and depth scolding. Dr. Sahib would stop feeling angry inside, which sounds good, but apparently his home life and office fell apart because everyone saw him as, well, harmless, no boundaries.
Yeah, that's such a critical point, especially for leadership or parenting. The Murshid explains sometimes a scolding is necessary to gently but firmly nudge someone's thinking back on track, like with a child, for their own good. The absolute key difference is gussa, anger, is an internal state, an agitation. Dr. Saib calls it an irtashki kaifiyat, like a disturbance in your blood, that inner turmoil. It just wastes energy, leads to bad decisions. And that's what Allah prohibits. Think of Surah Abi Lahab, father of flame, that internal burning.
Right. So the firmness in your tone, Lady Kasakti, shouldn't come from your own negative feelings, your agitation. It should come from necessity, from wisdom, wanting what's best. If people know there are zero consequences, yeah, they might take advantage. But a firm look, a clear word can send the message without you having to be boiling inside that whole tirena. It's about clarity and firmness, minus the destructive emotion. Okay, sticking with these nuanced ideas, Dr. Saib then talks about edzi or inkisari humility. And he points out we often get this wrong too, thinking it means being a doormat.
Yes, he really clarifies this. True humility, he says, is about understanding your actual place, apni akwat samajhiyu, and using your full potential, all your abilities. But, and this is crucial, recognizing these abilities aren't yours, they're gifts from Allah. When you use them with that constant awareness, that's inkisari. But if you claim them as your own achievement, that's arrogance.
That's such a powerful distinction. It frees you up, doesn't it? You can be effective, confident, use your talents fully, but stay humble. Because you're not denying your skills, you're just attributing them to the right source.
Yeah.
Keeps the ego in check.
Yeah.
Okay, this next point, this really flips a common idea on its head. Dr. Sahib redefines azadi freedom. He challenges that notion of manadar pitar azadi, just absolute do whatever you want freedom, which, he argues, just leads to chaos anyway.
His definition is completely different. True freedom, he says, is Allah ke ekamate itiba, following Allah's commands, and conversely, a paban zindagi, a constrained, bounded life. That's when you follow your own ideas or just follow the crowd. If you're bound by your own thoughts or other people's opinions, you're trapped. But by choosing to follow Allah's guidance, you become free. Free from your own ego, free from peer pressure. It's a total paradigm shift on freedom.
He uses the example of a Qalandar, right? That spiritually liberated figure. They have a Zaat, Tarz-e-Fikr, an independent way of thinking, meaning they don't listen to people's noise, they don't listen to their own ego, they listen primarily to Allah. That completely changes how you view freedom. It's not lack of rules, it's alignment with the right rules.
Exactly, and he gives those simple examples like breathing. It's a pabandi, a restriction, a natural law we follow. Thoughts arise, that's a qanun, a law of consciousness. The real question is, how do you respond? How do you make choices based on your whims? Other people's expectations? Or Allah's guidance, following Allah's way brings peace to you and others. Following your own desires, maybe temporary pleasure, sure, but often conflict down the line because you're swimming against the current of creation, essentially.
Okay, shifting gears slightly, but still relating to inner states, Dr. Sahib talks about time perception, how our emotions affect how we experience time. He links it to Qalandar Show lectures. He says, in happiness, the speed of change, maybe inner peace or consciousness, increases. In sadness, it decreases. Can you maybe elaborate on what chain means here and how it affects time?
Sure. Dr. Sahib explains that happiness, in this spiritual sense, means your focus is inward, on your inner self, which is where, he says, Allah is. So being close to Allah, connected inwardly, brings happiness. That's the principle. Being disconnected, far from that inner reality, brings sadness. And then he connects this to time and space. He says they don't really exist inside, in that inner realm. They're phenomena of the external physical world, the alam nasut.
Wow, okay, that's a big thought. So what we call time, seconds, minutes, hours is really just the earth spinning. But spiritually, there's just one moment. And it's our perception, our idrak, that chops it up. So when we're happy connected, our idrak divides less, time flies. And when we're sad disconnected, our idrak keeps measuring, dividing, making time drab.
Precisely. He gives those perfect examples. Hours vanish when you're happy with friends. Minutes feel like agony at a funeral or a difficult meeting. Happy couples say 20 years felt like yesterday. Troubled couples say 2 years felt like 20. It's all about the speed and quality of our idrak, our perception, our inner engagement with that single continuous moment.
Amazing. Okay, Dr. Sahib then introduces a really comprehensive framework. Sifat-e-Rabbaniyyat, divine attributes and how they connect to Saad Shur, 7 levels of consciousness. He even references a specific diagram in lower column, page 114, about the universe's structure.
Yes, he breaks down these 7 levels. 3 are dense realms, the alami shadid, minerals, plants, animals. 3 are subtle realms, alami kafif, angels, archangels, jinn. And the 7th is Jacques Asgar, the human being, Adam. And the human is unique, bridging both the inner unseen world, Batini Wujud, and the outer visible one, Zahiri Wujud. We contain elements of all levels.
And holding consciousness of all 7 is Saba Samat, the 7 heavens, which links back to that famous saying of the prophet, Man arafa nafsahu, whoever knows himself. Dr. Sahib shows how we embody all these realms. Hair and nails like minerals, growth like plants, bodily functions like animals, thoughts like angels. It's such a holistic picture of who we are.
And what's really fascinating is how he positions Ruhaniyat, spirituality, as a science, scientific knowledge. Not just vague mysticism, tasawwuf, but fakiri, the focused path of seeking Allah. He credits Qalandar Baba Auliya with systematizing this knowledge, making it accessible. It used to be ilmi sina passed secretly, chest to chest, but now it's presented as a science anyone can study.
Right, and he specifically calls Lower Kalam the first book of Roohani Science, spiritual science, where this knowledge was organized, written down. But Dr. Sahib notes, we often ignore it, don't we? Because it doesn't offer immediate rewards like a pay rise. We forget the benefits for the hereafter. He emphasizes documenting this was a huge step, fulfilling the Prophet's command to Qalandar Baba Auliya to spread the science. Okay, finally, Dr. Sahib addresses another really deep concept, Nafi-e-Zaat, the negation of self. He shares asking his Murshid, how do I get rid of mainly the I?
And the Murshid's answer is brilliant, isn't it? How can I be eliminated? If you ate, you say, I ate. It just cuts through that literal interpretation. The Murshid clarified. Main, the functional self, stays. But ananiyat ego, egotism that must go. So Nafi-e-Zaat isn't about erasing yourself. It's about doing everything with the constant awareness. I'm doing this for Allah, using the life and abilities Allah gave me.
So it's a mindset shift, not self-annihilation. You're still the one doing things, making choices.
Yeah.
But without that ego claim, I did this is mine.
Yeah.
Instead, it's recognizing yourself as Allah's creation, acting through his attributes for his sake.
Exactly. And connecting this further, Dr. Sahib references Qalandar Baba Auliya's description of the Prophet's way of thinking, that whenever they interacted with anything, they had this habitual feeling that their connection was indirect, always ultimately for Allah. This mindset becomes so ingrained, their mind acts as a qayyam muqam, a representative of Allah's attributes. So their mental actions become reflections of divine actions. It's incredibly profound, almost scientific in its structure.
What a way to explain it. A systematic, almost scientific spiritual transformation. Developing this constant habitual awareness. Everything you do, through Allah's gifts, for Allah's purpose. That, he says, is the Maqsood Hayat, the purpose of life itself.
You know, as we wrap up this deep dive, it really strikes me how these concepts, which can seem so abstract when you look at them through this kind of systematic, scientific lens Dr. Sahib provides, they become incredibly powerful tools for self-awareness, for changing how we actually live.
Absolutely. We've really unpacked a lot today, haven't we? From sincerity, true freedom, the nature of time, negating the ego, all seen through Dr. Maqsood Azeemi's insightful discussion. And you can really see these aren't just theories. They're practical guides for a more purposeful, maybe more enlightened life.
Which really leaves you thinking, doesn't it? It raises that question for each of us. If we've really reevaluated our own ideas about freedom or what humility truly means, in what concrete ways could that lead us to more inner peace, more clarity, to living a life more genuinely aligned with a higher purpose?
That's a perfect thought to leave you with. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep seeking that deeper understanding.